Well, let's move now to opposition parties' response. And I've got with me the interim leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen. And I'm also joined by the leader of the United Democratic Movement, General Bantu Holomisa. Gentlemen, thank you very much to both of you this evening. And I just want a quick reaction from each of you to the announcement that came out of the ANC NEC. Is it a step in the right direction? And I'll start with you, General.
I think it is a step in the right direction, given that we have never seen a president of the ANC before, Cyril Ramaphosa, taking lead in combating corruption. You must also remember that this corruption started as early as 1994 and so on. But the problem of Cyril Ramaphosa will be this silent decree that capable individuals should not be appointed in key positions if they do not belong to the ruling party. So he needs to look at his civil service and the cabinet as to whether they are capable of taking this bold step forward. So far, I'm not convinced that it is correct that when a minister is appointed, he or she chooses his or her own DG and supporting staff. So I think we need to look at the civil service as to whether they are capable of implementing these policies related to economy, even the fighting of corruption. Remember that the corruption has been endemic in the ANC right from the lower levels, local government, up to the highest level.
So a step in the right direction, General, but plenty more to do. John Steenhuisen, I'd like to bring you in here. Would you agree with the General that it is a good first step?
A step in the right direction, but a very, very long journey ahead. Newton's third law of motion says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And it remains to be seen whether Mr. Ramaphosa is going to be able to survive that equal and opposite reaction from within the forces in his own organization, who have essentially entrenched corruption within the ANC over the course of the last 2 decades. And we've seen lines in the sand drawn many times before, so many lines, in fact, that the ANC looks like a Zen garden. And it's going to remain to be seen what happens when those lines are in fact transgressed, and whether the president has the bottle to go through with the action that's going to be required when senior members of his own party are forced to account. Not before the Integrity Commission, because that's a simple matter altogether, but before the law enforcement agencies of the country and the judiciary. That's going to be the real test, I believe.
John Steenhuisen, do you agree with what they've said, is that if you are facing charges, you absolutely have to step down until your name is cleared or not? But if you are being accused in the court of public opinion, which we see increasingly these days because our justice system works so slowly, you have to account. And if the Integrity Committee is happy with your accounting, then you can stay. If not, then you must step back. Is that how things work in the DA, for example?
Well, we usually put people on suspension pending disciplinary inquiries. But in this particular instance, I think it's going to be a very, very long queue outside of the Integrity Commission. But, you know, we have a track record of taking action against people within the DA who don't live up to the values.
Just for clarity, do you put someone on suspension even if they're facing, let's say, an expose by the Daily Maverick? Would you suspend someone based on the court of public opinion and perhaps a journalist expose?
Every case has to be judged on its own individual merits and assessed whether this is something that is malicious and personal or whether this is actually something that speaks to the integrity of the individual. And, you know, there's been various degrees of these within places where we've governed, George Municipality, the city of Cape Town and the like, where we've had to step in and take action. But each case has got to be judged on its merits. But here's the thing, Sally, and this is the important point, is that the Prevention of Organised Crime and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act makes it a criminal offence to know about an act of fraud or corruption and not to report it to the authorities. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Integrity Commission does with the information, because if they have a confession from somebody within the organisation, that points to corrupt activities, they themselves will be crime if they don't report.
That's a really interesting point, John Steenhuisen. General Holomisa, I'd like to bring you back. Just looking at what the President says the ANC is going to do from now on, that if you are facing charges, you must step down. But if you're facing accusations without necessarily any charges levelled against you in a court of law, then you might not necessarily have to step down. What is the rule in the UDM? Is it also as tricky as the DA is explaining?
Well, you must understand that in this country we have a constitution, and within that constitution, or that our constitution is underpinned by rights. So you have to be careful. If there is an allegation against a politician, you need to, especially if he's in the public office, you need to verify the authenticity or otherwise of those allegations. The way of doing so, you can appoint immediately an inquiry. I'll make an example. We had a problem in Port Elizabeth where Bobani was accused by the mayor then. Then we said to the mayor, okay, go ahead, appoint an inquiry. Indeed, he went ahead and appointed PwC forensic auditing. The findings came back and there was no mention of Bobani. In that case, if the findings were implicating Bobani, we would have said, take leave or you are suspended, pending the outcome of the court or the council's resolution. So that is the only case I can remember in the UDM. I can't compare UDM with ANC. You know it. It's a daily bread. They charge people. Their people are being accused left and right.
A very quick last word from you, John Steenhuisen. Corruption is a countrywide problem. South Africans are getting increasingly impatient. What do all political parties need to do to signal that they are serious? And do you think that this signs that Ramaphosa has got the edge in a divided party, that a unified party is the only party that can really make strong decisions? Listening to both of you as leaders of your party, you have to be on the same page to agree, okay, this is a vendetta, no, this is serious, we must take action. And that's the difficulty, isn't it?
Correct, and that's the burden of leadership, Sally. You've got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and you've got to know the difference. And as John Kennedy famously said, the true test of courage is whether you can stand up to your own associates. And so that's going to be, I think, the President's greatest test going forward. What can you do? Well, I think the first thing the President can do if he wants to show he's serious is to give us the lifestyle audit he promised 2 years ago. He said that every member of his cabinet will undergo a lifestyle audit where if you're living above your means, you'd have to explain it. It's now 2 years down the line. Those lifestyle audits aren't there. Here in the Western Cape, every member of the provincial cabinet's been vetted by an independent company. And that's one of the ways in which you ensure that you have an integrity within
lifestyle audits, absolutely crucial. Bantu Holomisa, I see you've got your hand up. Quick word from you.
What I was expecting from the ANC, in fact, let me put it this way, if they are serious, state monies have been paid through the Department of Correctional Service, and they have been channeled to Bosasa, and Bosasa has used that money to bankroll the ANC rallies, congresses, you name it. Now, if they are serious in combating corruption, they must say, we are going to bring back that money which we received in an illicit manner. So, as long as they don't talk about that, talking about themselves, forget, they will never cleanse themselves. We need an interim government in this country. In doing so, you can declare a state of emergency and put an interim government and take us up to 2024. Between now, we are going to witness this infighting, and the country is suffering in the process.
Well, let's see what happens in the next few months. I think they are going to be absolutely crucial. Thank you very much, General Bantu Holomisa, leader of the UDM, and John Steenhuisen, interim leader of the Democratic Alliance.